You know what? Let's watch the car video. I'm kind of interested. Though I'm sure like I know a lot of the points that will be talked about. Um, I always talk about, like I had a car that was like fairly modern from 2012, and some of the equipment was, quite um what's the word for it? Like quite technological or whatever. And at one point, I had really kind of destroyed the brakes. They were very overused and it would make so much noise every time I would brake. So I needed to change them. And my boss at work was like, he used to be a mechanic, and he was like, I'll do it for you. You just buy the brake and I'll do it for you for free. And so I bought the brake, and the problem turned out that when he tried to do it, he realized that he needed some kind of like special computer thing to connect to the computer of the car or whatever to be able to replace the brake or some shit. I don't know the details. And that's when I realized that, yeah, modern cars are stupid. And he was telling me about like, that is stupid. And, in old cars, I mean, it's just the brake pad or whatever, right? So like, it's pretty simple, but yeah, he couldn't do it because it doesn't have like the specialized equipment or whatever. And so I had to like go to an actual garage. But then at the garage, they basically didn't want to do it with the brake that I had bought, because they want to buy the stuff themselves, right? So eventually I went back to my boss, and he managed to find like someone he knows to accept to do it with the brakes that I had bought myself. So yeah, that's my story of like being annoyed with a modern car technology. Uh, at the same time, the first car I had was like I think a Peugeot 108 from 1994 or something, and that car was like so beat up and fucked up. So while it was much more simple and I'm sure easy to repair, the car was so fucked up uh, that I didn't really get to enjoy as simple it was. For example, like it was always stall when I would slow down. So like anytime we slow down for anything, it would stall, and I would need to quickly like go in neutral, restart it, and try to continue. So anytime you have to like go at a stoplight or anything, it would stall. It was a terrible way to drive. Yeah. Anyway, let's watch it by the great channel Fern.
This is the Buick Riviera, the world's first car with a touchscreen, made back in 1986.
86. Not talked about in this video is every single car is a big bulky SUV. Driving in cities is hell, and even more when there's less and less parking space in streets. Do we have this problem in France? I mean, I haven't really noticed it, but yeah, I always hear it about America, um, that, the cars are way too freaking big, but where I live, I don't really have that impression of people having like massive cars. Yeah, I have it open, the new Epic History video. I'll do it toward the end of the stream. I'll do it.
The futuristic graphic control center replaced more than 80 physical controls. The graphics were so advanced, the fan icon spun at different speeds, depending on the climate control setting. You could turn the sound system up or down and adjust the balance or graphic equalizer. Trip
A
data
touch
had its own
screen in
screen.
86.
There were even electronic gauges.
Touch the new Buick Riviera, and it touches you.
The Riviera was way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Maybe too far ahead. The influential Car and Driver magazine gave it a brutal review. The touchscreen is meant to transform a trip to the 7-Eleven into a space odyssey. But the reality of the graphic control center is a bad joke. It was fiddly, distracting, and way slower than the physical controls it replaced.
Obviously, I'm sure it wasn't working great as it was the first one. I mean, again, my car from 2012 had it had a touch screen for stuff like music, gas consumption, and stuff like that. And that thing was like, pretty terrible too. Like the touching wouldn't work too well. If the car was too hot, the screen would shut off. Or sometimes it would tell me like, you can't play the music too loud because the screen is too hot, so you need to wait for it to cool down. It was just like stupid. It was just stupid.
Customers, it seems, just weren't buying it. Production numbers plummeted. 3 years later, the touchscreen was removed from the Riviera. But the idea wouldn't stay dead. Ultimately, touchscreens in cars made a return. This time, they were accompanied by lots of other features that supposedly reinvent driving. High-tech handles that are hard to find and fiddly to use, and all but useless in cold weather. Gear shifters that are straight out of Star Wars, but come with a
The fuck is this?
explanation video. Many new models have been stripped of their buttons, levers, and knobs. They depend on software updates as much as they do solid engineering. There's evidence that some of these cars aren't just harder to use, they're less safe. And your car might be one of them.
You know, buttons are nice. I mean, I don't know if it was like a question of like, it's less expensive to have like an iPad inside the car with all the options than actually making a design with buttons and all that. But, you know, buttons are pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like driving and looking right and seeing like, you know, a massive amount of button and stuff like that, you know, for different things. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
And I'm like, I want to return off regenerative braking because you used to be able to, well, maybe not turn it off, but you used to be able to reduce it. And that feature went away. And so I'm going down these steep mountain roads on icy conditions with the car trying to regenerative brake every time I let off the throttle. And I'm like, I turned this thing off and it wasn't there. Even in the moment, trying to find where in the menu it had
while
gone,
driving,
while you're driving in the snowstorm on a road behind a transport truck, and it's a scary situation to be hunting a menu in the middle of winter.
Okay, but maybe don't be that close. I mean, you don't have to be a meter behind the truck.
In this video, we'll explore some of the dumbest features in modern cars, what it really means that they're packed with sensors, and why certain design elements are downright dangerous. Let's start with the new, the funny, and the just plain weird. The marriage of cars and cutting-edge tech is nothing new. Entertainment systems in cars have been constantly advancing since the 1930s. In every era, automakers have embraced the entertainment tech of their time. AM radio, FM radio, tape players, CD players, even record players. But sometime in the early 2000s,
That's cool, though.
the insides of cars started to change in bold new ways. And in 2012, one particular car changed everything. This is the Tesla Model S. Upon release, it was considered a huge leap forward for electric cars. Car and Driver praised its range, acceleration, and top speed. Unusually, the Model S was designed almost entirely around a huge 17-inch touchscreen, about as big as 4 to 6 other touchscreens typically found in cars at the time. It was a sensation.
I think it did drive the revolution to electric cars. It made people think it was possible. You know, I mean, no
When
one
Elon
thought
was
it
still cool, I guess.
possible, really, to have an electric car before that came onto the market.
Tesla jump-started a craze for minimalist, digital-oriented designs in cars. Beyond enthusiasm, touchscreens are also cheaper and more efficient to manufacture than physical
That's it,
controls.
okay. That's
As of
it.
2018, all new cars sold in the US were required to have a rear-facing camera, enabling a driver to detect pedestrians behind their vehicle. This meant
Really?
new car
Every car since 2018 has to have that. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Even though like this kind of stuff can be also finicky. My mom's car, which I drive sometimes, she doesn't have a camera, but she has like you know, like a beeping when you're backing up to tell you how close you are to the wall. But the thing like, you know, beeps really loud when you still have like a meter to go or something. And you know, like in city when you're trying to really park well, that's kind of annoying and it's more detrimental than anything. So like in the end, you just revert back to, you know, your own instinct as a driver, because the system of like sensor is just kind of whack.
cars had to have a screen inside them. Some experts see a direct link to the rise of touchscreens. Whatever the reasons, the Model S and Tesla's Silicon Valley software-first approach felt unique. The company unveiled new cars like Apple presented new iPhones. Even if Tesla wasn't the first company to include a touchscreen in a car, for many people, the future finally seemed to have arrived. Suddenly, the rest of the industry was playing catch-up. To avoid being left behind, companies would have to shift gears. Unfortunately, along with a lot of other things, shifting was about to get really confusing.
Yeah.
About to
Like, what even is this? Why make it like this? I don't understand. Like, a normal shifter is like, why? Like, how is this easier? Man.
get really confusing.
Yeah. I think I've seen one like this. One time, like, at work, they made me drive some car or something. And they had something, like, very weird like this. It wasn't exactly like this, but yeah, it was more like, it was less of, like, a normal shifter, more like a joystick. It was very weird.
Congratulations, this is your new 2017 Range Rover Velar. You're going to love driving
Range
it.
Rover.
But first, you need to get inside. But how? Where are there have to be handles.
The
How
button
else?
on your key.
Maybe they're... No. Okay, no. Are they? No. Higher. Higher.
Break the window.
Look, you just need a
It
little
regenerates.
finesse. First, press this little button, then the handle pops out. It's not that hard. But you might have to explain the procedure to your passengers. And things could get tricky in the winter. Okay, this will probably take some getting used to, but they're so sophisticated. The Velar is just the tip of the iceberg. These days,
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to pause every 2 minutes, but what even is the idea, right? How do $1 million company, someone thinks of this, someone else says yes, then they actually design it. Like, why not just have a normal handle? I mean, I understand like the side mirrors, sometimes you have to like push them in because other cars might fuck them up. But like a door handle is like barely protruding out. So like, why make it like this? Like, no one thought this was a terrible idea.
lots of cars have unusual door handles. Some, like the Ford Mustang Mach-E, got rid of handles entirely. Instead, there's a button, and they've camouflaged it. The Tesla Cybertruck's button is even better hidden. But back to your new Velar. Inside, you'll notice more oddities. Here's the shifter. As usual, the gears are labeled. But instead of the classic lever-shaped shifter, you use a dial to change gears. The 2017 Mercedes-Benz GLC has a monostable stock shifter. It's always returned to the center, which can make it tough to tell which gear you are currently in. The GMC Terrain.
Then at this point, why not make it just automatic? I mean, I feel like learning how to control this dial thing would be like more dangerous, you know, like you would fuck up in the middle of the road.
Move shifting to buttons, which you pull rather than push. In its review, the website Motor One called it a complicated solution to a non-existent problem.
Right.
A description that may or may not apply to many of the innovations in this video. From 2021 to 2023, if you were driving a Volkswagen ID4, you shifted gears with this thing.
You know, I'm just gonna say something pretty simple, but like it should be the laws in country. Like it should literally be the law that you don't fuck with something like car design like this. Like, you know, everybody, you know, either you have an automatic car or if you have a shifter car, everybody should have like the same system of shifter. So like there's no confusion. Everybody understands how it works, and it reduces the chance of like accident because of it. Like it shouldn't be that hard. Seriously, it should be a law. I don't know. And on one hand, I like the, you know, I like innovation, like unique design for stuff. But a car is something that, you know, you might kill yourself or other people pretty easily, right? Like this isn't the place where you want to experiment with stuff like this, you know? I don't care if my iPhone is suddenly like very weirdly designed, but your car shifter shouldn't be that complicated that you start getting confused. I don't know.
See it there? Hidden behind the steering wheel? You twist it to shift gears. Whether these new designs actually improve on anything is an open question, but they certainly bring the adventure back to driving. In the past, most cars' essential controls tended to look and feel more or less the same.
Oh yeah, I think that this type is what I was talking about, like the kind of joystick that just goes up and down, yeah. For me, I'm just used to the one, you know, like that should go all over the place.
Cars' essential controls tend to look and feel more or less the same. With new features like these, every time you drive a different car, you have to learn how to operate it almost from scratch. But there's confusing, and then there's the Genesis Crystal Sphere. Let's say you ease on into a Genesis EV60. You want to back out of your parking spot. Wait, there's no shifter, just this little crystal ball. According to Genesis, it helps create an emotional connection between the driver and the vehicle.
What?
So slow down. Take a minute. Can you feel it?
An emotional connection, yeah, okay.
You start the car by pressing the brake and pressing this button. Like magic, the crystal sphere rotates, revealing the shift dial. Inside, there's a mood light. Shift into reverse by twisting the dial to the left. The dial vibrates,
it looks nice.
but nothing's wrong. No, that's the sweet vibration of safety. The mood light changes color too, putting you in a safety mood. You can't feel it?
Fuck off.
Okay, you know what? Let's take a step back. Try putting the car in neutral. With it still turned off, press the start button twice, but don't hold down the brake pedal. No, don't hold down the brake. Okay, try again. Without holding down the brake pedal, press the start button twice. Good, now you're in IG on mode. Remove the cap next to the crystal sphere. Well, there should be a cap there. Okay, skip the cap. Press that button, the one next to the crystal sphere. Good, good. Now you're in neutral. The touchscreen tells you so. The sphere rotates. There's the shift dial so you can... Oh, but you're already in neutral. Why would... You know what? Never mind. If you don't get it, you're clearly not alone. Genesis created a nearly 4-minute video to explain how to use the crystal sphere. Of course, cars have had weird shifters before.
That looks cool actually. But seriously, how does this even happen? How does this actually get made? And I mean, this, you know, this is the kind of thing, like, it would be fine if this was like, you know, a super like unique car for like one person, or there's only like 100 being sold or something, you know. But from what I understand, this is all like mass production cars, right? How is this even being made?
It seems to be the shifter Wild West. By 2017, things had gotten so crazy, Car and Driver published an article, "Why are so many new cars gear selectors so stupid?" And naturally, it doesn't end there. According to Wired,
Technology.
97% of new cars released after 2023 have at least one screen inside them. In some, physical controls for many essential functions have disappeared entirely. In the past, you typically open a glove compartment by pulling a handle.
Right.
These days, if you own a Tesla, you have to use the touchscreen.
Well, you got to go, you know, sort of
Why?
there's a little car button, and it brings up a menu, and then I think it's usually the default, the top menu thing has these grid of various buttons and things you can do, and then you go to the glove box, and then that'll open the glove box, and then you can enter a security code if you want, and then you have to hit a 4-digit pin to unlock the glove box.
But you still have to close the glove compartment manually. As modern cars become increasingly tech-based, some
I guess the only thing I could say about this is, you know, the problem of like all of the options being in a touch screen. You know, clearly in a 5 to 10 years, they will have AI in this kind of stuff. And so rather than having to touch it, it will more be like you just talk to your car, you know, you say like, car, open the glove box for me or something, you know, which I guess will reduce the amount of having to look at a screen. But then the problem is that AI might not be perfect, right? So like, if it controls something like, I don't know, some important stuff that you can change, you know, and it fucks it up, you might have more chance of accidents, I don't know. Though maybe it would be better than like having to actually touch your damn screen, especially while driving, you know? I mean, yeah. Because obviously, you know, even though this is all, like, the conclusion of all this should be like, we should just go back to like simpler car, right? It's not what's gonna happen, right? So, yeah.
manufacturers have explored treating them more like software by selling upgrades or subscriptions. In 2022, BMW announced that certain features of its cars would be available only by subscription. To use their car's heated seats, for example, British customers had to pay £15 a month. By late 2023, BMW had dropped the idea due to low customer interest. A much better deal is a subscription to Brilliant, the online platform for really learning about serious topics in math, science, programming, and more.
I can't even imagine.
Isn't just more user-friendly,
you know,
500 browser tabs
if you buy a car and you already have like so much to pay after that for like maintenance, but you also have to pay a fucking subscription for like stuff like that. I mean, it's the same thing. Like people say, like
circuits, programming with Python, and abstract thinking are about more than rote memorization.
I forgot what I was going to say, but yeah, it's like the last thing that should be in the subscription. If you buy your car, it should just all work as is with all the features.
You can use Brilliant on your computer or your phone, so you can always get a quick hit of knowledge even when you're on the go. To learn for free on Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/Fern, scan the QR code on screen,
microtransaction in car.
Link in the description. Brilliant's also given our viewers 20% off an annual premium subscription, which gives you unlimited data.
It's just, yeah, no, I guess, yeah, it's like, it's kind of like the new Pokemon, and a lot of games do that, right? New Pokemon released, and there was already like DLCs day one, you know, which basically mean that they have the game, they cut out some piece of it just to sell it to you separately to get more money. It's the same idea with the car, right? Like the car already has the fucking eating cushion or seats, and yet you have to like pay extra for it, even though you already paid for the car. Like it's there, but you have to pay extra for it. It's absolutely insane. I mean, it's so stupid. At the same time, like if someone actually buys this and pays for the subscription, you know, I can't help but feel that they're a bit stupid. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, I don't know. But it's kind of insane that's even a thing, you know? And I guess it's a thing because people pay for it and it's worth it for the manufacturer. Gacha in cars when. I mean, insane. I guess buying second-hand cars is already gacha.
Access to everything on Brilliant. In many ways, modern cars have come to feel like smartphones on wheels. They're packed with infotainment options, but hidden inside them is a major downside most drivers aren't aware of.
Computers.
Many modern cars have advanced features that rely on huge amounts of data from the surrounding environment.
Your car is a kind of data hoover, really, hoovering up everything. And what you'd hope is that data is being used to improve things all the time.
This is Professor Dale Harrow. He's chair of the Intelligent Mobility Design Center and head of the Intelligent Mobility Design program at the Royal College of Art in London.
You know, I know Tesla do a lot of this, where they're looking at kind of how people use the car and all that data about road conditions, road surfaces. So you could have a car that's talking to another car that says, I've just gone over a terrible pothole. And the car behind says, oh no, I'm coming up to it. Now I'll avoid that, you know. So it could be very good, all this sort of stuff.
But some cars don't just collect data
sounds
about
good on
driving
paper,
conditions.
yeah.
They collect data about you. How you move, your speech, even your facial expressions. Back in 2023, the Mozilla Foundation, a pro-privacy, tech-focused nonprofit, researched 25 different car brands to examine their approach to driver data and privacy in the US. Of the 25 brands, the foundation concluded that pretty much all of them collected more data than necessary to make their products work smoothly. And in their privacy...
Okay, but it's not just cars with that, you know, it's literally everything today. I mean, like, is there anything that is not collecting your data? It's kind of where we're at, you know?
agreements. Most brands reserve the right to share drivers' personal data and
I'm a
sell
bit
it.
too used to it to care anymore at this point.
According to Mozilla, that data went way beyond name, address, and phone number. It could also include your age, birthday, and the location of your phone, your credit card number and information about how you financed and bought your car, products or services you've
Okay,
bought,
maybe that's a bit
products
much.
or services you've considered buying, your ID number, your
I
social
take that
security
back.
number,
That's a
your
lot.
passport number, health status, signature, the shape of your face, fingerprints, your gait, genetic characteristics, race, religion, and philosophical beliefs, employment information, whether you belong to a union, nationality, immigration status, photos, location history, recordings of your voice, and
I mean, sure, if they have an actual, like, recording device in there, yeah, they can get all that. I guess that makes sense. I mean, they can literally get anything that you talk about and do in your car, you know? I guess there's no question about that.
gestures you make. And at least two companies, Nissan and Kia, explicitly claim the right to collect information about customers' sex lives.
Wait, repeat that?
Explicitly claim the right to collect information about customers' sex lives. Nissan and Kia.
Nissan and Kia. Like, you're telling me there's a line in the contract that they... What?
Explicitly claim the right to collect information
What?
about customers' sex lives.
I mean, you can improve the car to be more banging friendly, I guess. I mean, very important, I guess. I don't know. Just, you know, turn the shifting gear into a dildo when you need it. I mean, I don't know. You know, modern problem require modern solution, and if it's to improve my shifting gear into something more usable, do it.
We don't know whether
It needs
companies
to be
do
done
collect
for
all this
science.
information, but in their privacy policies, the automakers Mozilla studied reserve the right to do so. There's also no way of knowing exactly how your car might collect data about your sex life, but a look around a modern car suggests some ways that it could. First, there's your phone. If you connect it to your car, either over Bluetooth or by plugging it in, you're potentially offering up an enormous treasure trove of data. Some cars store your contact list, some keep a log of your phone calls. Then there's the cameras and sensors that make many of the driver assist features in modern cars possible, including automatic lane centering, adaptive cruise control, and partial self-driving. Like many cars, the Tesla Model Y uses cameras and sensors to gather real-time data from in and around the car's surroundings. Here's one camera, mounted above the rear license plate. Here are two more, one in each door pillar. There are three in the windshield, right above the rearview mirror, and one in each front fender. Depending on your model, there's
That is
also
a
one
lot,
inside
huh?
the car, right above the rearview mirror. Tesla says its cameras are designed from the ground up to protect your privacy.
Yeah,
In
we
2023,
believe that.
9 former Tesla employees told Reuters that images and video taken from customers' cars have been repeatedly shared around the Tesla office between 2019 and 2022. These reportedly included mundane images employees
I
turned
don't know
into
what to say, man.
inter-office memes, video of road rage incidents and crashes, including one
So
of the
kind of
Tesla hitting a
insane.
child on a bike, and footage that was clearly private and even embarrassing, apparently including a man approaching the car, totally naked. According to one ex-employee, some of these recordings seem to have been made by cars that weren't even turned on, showing off whatever weird stuff customers happen to have in their garages. According to Reuters,
I mean, again, you know, I know it's not a popular take, and for me, it's more like a matter of having kind of given up, right? But yeah, I'm just kind of like over, you know, privacy stuff. That's why, you know, like, well, not fully, but you don't really read like some kind of term and service of stuff. If you're gonna use an app on your phone or a game or something, I don't really read it and I just do it and whatever, right? But to this level, maybe not, right? I don't know. So it makes me think like, is there actually still any like good car company that make normal cars, like an actual normal car with like in the old school way, like there's no camera, there's just like a car that drives. It has no special feature. It has normal doors. It has normal buttons. Um, I wonder if there's still like normal option like that, or you're kind of fucked because yeah, I mean I don't have a car right now, but this is kind of too much. I don't know. Like I guess I won't lie. If I get another car, I'd definitely like one with a screen. But I don't really feel like I need stuff like cameras and detectors and auto driving and stuff like that. I don't know. It just feels like too much, yeah.
Several years ago, Tesla employees stumbled upon footage of Wet Nelly, the submersible vehicle from the James Bond movie, The Spy Who Loved Me, dry docked in a Tesla owner's garage. In this case, the owner was Elon Musk. He may or may not have been aware his collectible was being recorded. According to Reuters, Tesla collected video recordings from vehicles that were turned off only with the owner's consent, but has long since stopped doing so. And Tesla does let drivers opt out of their vehicle collecting data, but there's a cost. This might lead to, quote, reduced functionality, serious damage, or inoperability. Oh, and Nissan's privacy policy makes you promise to inform any passengers about the features and limitations of your car system and services, including Nissan's data collection terms. Pinky swear you'll do it, and be sure to print out the whole policy for the next time you give a friend a lift.
Bruh.
None of the car companies Mozilla dealt with would disclose exactly who they shared driver data with, and some policies are very broad. Your data could be used for marketing purposes, or an insurance company could raise your rates based on data about you driving. And without you ever knowing, your most sensitive information could be shared with the government or law enforcement.
Just get a bike, you know what?
Hyundai's policy specifies that it will comply with lawful requests, whether formal or informal. These practices vary according to region. In the United States, for example, they seem to essentially be legal. In Europe, the law requires that companies offer specific justifications for processing consumers' data.
I was gonna say like we're not perfect in Europe, but I keep forgetting that he's talking a lot about the US, and the US is kind of the Wild West, literally, in terms of stuff like this, right? I guess we often hear about how in Europe we have like much better laws for stuff like this. Not that I would feel safe, like in that much, again, it's one of those things where like, I don't know, like if you sign any kind of term of like agreement, you kind of expect that there's some sneaking stuff in there for them to profit of, It's really how it is.
But the effectiveness of those laws relies on compliance. Evidence suggests that companies still collect huge amounts of driver data, and that data may not always be securely stored. In the end, Mozilla came to the conclusion that of all the tech they ever reviewed, cars were the worst data collectors.
We never had a category
Really?
where we couldn't find
That's your fun.
something good that we could recommend to somebody to choose over something bad.
And since the study was published, it's not clear much has changed. But it isn't just about your car, and who knows who else, knowing your sexual preferences. Some modern features are just plain dangerous. This is Kwakyalam Mountain Pass, near Vancouver, Canada. And this is Quinn Duffy. He owns a 2022 Tesla Model Y, which he drives over the pass on trips to the interior of British Columbia. He told us about his experiences.
It's a high mountain pass, frequently has terrible weather, fog, heavy snow.
These situations need your full attention, but in snowy conditions, the Model Y's automatic high beams can blind the driver, and turning them off while driving can be a
Automatic.
nightmare.
And the automatic headlights keep coming on. They'll disable when they sense a car in front. So on occasion they would shut off if we were coming up behind a big truck or something. But you have to go into, this big screen, you have to go into car functions, you have to go into headlights or lights.
And again, I don't want to be mean, but you bought this fucking car, dude. Like, did you not look at reviews before buying it? I mean, stuff like automatic lights and automatic braking or whatever you was talking about earlier. I mean, it all sounds terrible to anyone who's driven a car, right? Like, you don't want the car to take control. The only kind of good automatic system is like, what is it called again? EPS or ABS, the brake assist stuff that you can have. But stuff like automatic light and all that just sounds stupid. Like, you should control that yourself. I mean, this might make sense eventually in, like, 20 years when, like, you don't actually have to drive. Like, self-driving car actually, like, much better than people driving them. But I don't know. It all sounds terrible. Again, I think what pisses me off about all this is that, again, like, you're taking important control from people who are driving like a 1-ton piece of murder metal. It's so easy to kill someone. I mean, and you're giving them like more challenge, and I don't know. It's stupid.
You have to try and find the high beams or the automatic headlights to try and disable these things. And I'm trying to get my wife beside me to, I'm trying to talk her through the screens to find these options, because I'm trying to concentrate on driving while being blinded by these high beams in heavy snow and fog. If I'm trying to do that myself, to screen, there's no physical button, there's no muscle memory, there's no haptic feedback. So you're trying to watch the options on a low contrast screen that you can't touch because the car's bumpy and your fingers bouncing around. These buttons are small. Like, there's a lot of really frustrating design features when they're trying to pack so much software and so much control into a screen, into multiple menus. I think it's potentially dangerous, right?
Duffy is a game designer, and he's no stranger to technology, and even automotive professionals have struggled with the innovations in new cars. In 2024, Kelly Funkhauser took the Rivian S1, an electric SUV, out for...
But I guess at the same time, we can argue that this is all the pain section of innovation. Eventually all of this will get good. I don't know. Like a lot of other things with car, like, this is bad now, but eventually it will get good. We just have to have a lot of people die first, and then it will get good.
Or test drive. When traffic started to slow, she checked that adaptive cruise control, which automatically keeps the car a certain distance from any vehicles in front of it, was turned off. That required quickly flicking the shifter next to the steering wheel upward. But Funkhauser held that gesture slightly too long, a couple of seconds. Suddenly, the SUV shifted into reverse and began backing up towards the vehicles behind her. Kelly Funkhauser is the Associate Director of Vehicle Technology at Consumer Reports, and she test drives cars for a living. Yet even she couldn't avoid the usability hiccups that come with rapidly changing car design. Luckily, Funkhauser's experience was just a near miss. In June 2016, the actor Anton Yelchin, who played Mr. Chekhov in the 2009 film reboot of Star Trek, parked his Jeep Grand Cherokee on a steep hill outside his home in Studio City, California. The Jeep was one of 1.1 million vehicles that Fiat Chrysler had recalled months before. This was due to the monostable shifter, which always returned to the center position. That could make it difficult to tell what gear was selected. As Yelchin walked towards his home, the Jeep rolled backwards and hit him, crushing him against a brick pillar and security fence. There's no proof that the Jeep's monostable shifter was responsible for Yelchin's death. While his parents filed a wrongful death case against Fiat Chrysler, it was later settled out of court.
That's fucked up.
But a week later, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration concluded its investigation into the shifters, and it seemed to reveal a worrying pattern. 686 complaints, 266 crashes or fires, and 68 associated injuries. Since the early 70s, the general trend in the US has been a decline in motor vehicle deaths. But around 2011, they began climbing again. In 2023 alone, there were 45,000 motor vehicle deaths. That's roughly the population of an entire town. Professor David Strayer of the University of Utah, who has studied infotainment systems and driver distraction, said this.
Something's going on that's actually making our roads less safe. And it corresponds with increased prevalence of cell phones and touch screens and all the electronics in the vehicle.
I mean, again, depending on the country, if a cop sees you with your phone at your ear while driving, you get arrested or you get a ticket or whatever, right? And yet it's okay for you to touch your screen, your car screen. Well, if I have the phone at my ear, at least I'm looking at the road. But if I'm looking at my screen, I'm not looking at the road. And yet, the car is literally designed like that. And while the car manufacturer might claim that, they only mean it for you to use when you're not driving, I mean, seems kind of stupid.
In 2020, the British road safety charity I Am Road Smart commissioned a study on the impact of Apple CarPlay on driver reaction times. On a closed course, 2 groups of 20 drivers were asked to perform touchscreen tasks while driving. One group used Apple CarPlay, the other one Android Auto. It found that while using either voice or touch controls, drivers had a much harder time staying in their lane and maintaining a consistent distance from vehicles in front of them. When something appeared on the road ahead, they reacted over 50% more slowly than usual. When drivers selected music on Spotify using touch controls, their reaction times were even worse than in previous studies of texting while driving. Ultimately, compared to previous studies conducted by TLR, using either system slowed drivers' reaction times more than being at the legal limit for.
It probably makes sense because, you know, if you're looking at your phone, you tend to have it in front of you. So, like, obviously it's not a good thing, right? But if you have it in front of you, you still can, like, glance up straight. But if you're looking at your, like, car screen, which is, like, on the right, you know, you're not really looking at all at the road anymore, yeah? So it's actually worse. I mean, might as well have your phone.
Alcohol or cannabis. In 2022, a Swedish car magazine compared 11 new touchscreen-equipped cars to a 17-year-old Volvo with old-school physical controls. While driving 110 kilometers per hour, drivers performed simple tasks, like adjusting climate control or changing the radio station. The outcome was unambiguous. Drivers performed the task far faster using physical controls. It took them just 10 seconds, and during that time, the car traveled 306 meters. At the other end of the spectrum, using the touchscreen controls took 44.6 seconds in the worst-performing car. During that time, it traveled 1,372 meters. In other words, the driver was distracted by the touchscreen for almost a mile. The weird door handles in modern cars may also be a safety concern.
And you have an accident, for example, and the firemen or the policemen come by and they have to get you out of the car.
Obviously.
There's nothing to grab. You know, how are you going to open the car? You have to bust the glass and all that.
This is Frank Stephenson, Chief Creative Officer at Frank Stephenson Design and one of the most influential living car designers.
Typically, door handles were also used to, you know, they'd put their foot up against the car, stick their hand on the door handle and just pull it. That's the first reaction to do with a door handle. When we went away with that and we're starting to go now with normal flush door handles, you have to start more drastic measures.
All I can say is, like, this is so obvious, right? I mean, like, how is there people getting paid for even making this kind of design, right? And that, you know, there's probably like a ton of people who have to approve it until it's actually made. And no one said, like, this is a stupid idea, guys. Let's just leave the doors alone. I mean, you know, I don't know.
Open the door.
But there are signs that some of these trends are finally reversing.
Really?
In March 2024, the European New Car Assessment Program, or NCAP, announced big changes to its safety ratings. Beginning in 2026, cars won't be able to earn a 5-star rating unless they contain physical switches for specific functions. That includes the horn, turn signals, hazard lights, and windshield wipers. NCAP isn't a governmental body, but it's an influential non-profit backed by several EU governments. Big car companies like Volvo, BMW, and Tesla all advertise their NCAP safety ratings. Many cars have essentially become phones on wheels, and this appealed to some drivers, at least in the showroom, but then the rubber hit the road. In March 2024, What Car magazine published a survey of 1,428 drivers. It found that almost 9 out of 10 preferred physical controls to touchscreens. 60% even said they'd be deterred from buying a new car built around a touchscreen. This survey is not a representative large-scale study, but it still raises a question. If the newfangled features in so many cars have potentially made roads less safe and many drivers don't seem to like them,
not
are they
potentially.
innovations?
You know,
Absolutely.
It's just like, oh, come on. So that kind of is what I'm thinking. Is this just a gimmick? Because gimmick design is, do you need it? Does it help you? That's the first basic, you know, and does it improve, you know, everything?
In other words, is a magic orb of emotional connection really worth it? There's a cost to these dubious innovations. Literally, the affordable mid-price car seems to be going extinct, at least in the US. In February 2025, the share of new cars purchased costing less than $25,000 was less than 5%, down more than 18% from just 6 years before. That's the price range favored by many middle-class and first-time buyers, but there are fewer of those on the market these days, giving car companies an excuse to raise prices on those that remain. And profit margins are higher on tricked-out, high-priced vehicles anyway, so many dealers prioritize keeping those in stock, not budget vehicles. If this higher price point is more attractive for sellers, could all these innovative bells and whistles be another way of nudging consumers in that direction? In markets where large numbers of people need to take out a loan to buy a car, like the US, that's a serious issue. But amid all the gloom and doom, there is some good news. When Honda released its 2017 CR-V, it made a change to the infotainment system. The physical volume knob was back, replacing what at least one reviewer called an infuriating touch slider.
Nice.
BMW ditched gesture control, whereby drivers could make flicking or spinning gestures to control touchscreen functions, but not many apparently wanted to. And a year
Dude,
after
yeah.
NCAP rolled out its new safety standards,
Obviously.
Volkswagen's head of
I'm
design
not playing the Wii.
announced that VW would be bringing back buttons in all future models. Mint's comments even seem to indicate a change in mindset. We will never ever make this mistake anymore. On the steering wheel, we will have physical buttons. No guessing anymore. There's feedback, it's real, and people love this. Honestly, it's a car. It's not a phone, it's a car. So maybe automakers have learned their lesson this time, or maybe we'll be asking the same questions in another 40 years.
But the questions arise. Is the C
like, even if they revert back, the problem we're heading to is AI again. Like, in 10, 20 years, the car landscape and the problem that we're thinking right now will be completely different.
CRT really necessary? And is there a built-in danger of looking away from the road while you're trying to use it?
Prophetic. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm getting mad at the stupidity, and at the same time, I can't relate too much. I've talked about my little stories of annoying stuff, but for me, again, like, the most recent car I drove is 2012, and while there's a screen, you know, it tells me, like, gas consumption, and I can play music, that's about it. I think there's a GPS system, but it didn't even work. That's about it, right? And then, you know, my mom has, like, the beeping of you know, proximity. The only thing that I ever kind of used on my own car that was kind of like high tech was like the speed keeper or something. So like if you're driving on the highway, you can, you know, tell the car to stay at 110 and you don't have to hold the pedals yourself. But while I tried that a few times, I never liked it. It's one of those things, like, even if for 1 hour I'm basically at 110, I'd rather like control things myself. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, I've not experienced any of this because, you know, I've never had like a rich car like this, you know, like even a camera on the back when you're backing up. I've never had that on a car myself. But all of this sounds like too much. I mean, maybe some of this feature I would actually like if I had a car like this, you know. But yeah, a lot of it sounds like stupid as gadget, right? I mean, not only stuff that will be trouble, but that, you know, again, it's not a phone, it's not a piece of technology that's like harmless. You're driving a 1-ton car. I mean, that's the thing to remember. So yeah, this is all stupid. Like, so much of this is just, I can't even believe that it got past any kind of approval, you know? Like, no one in the company said this was stupid. Yeah. Okay. And again, it's many companies, it's not even one. So yeah, very good video. You know, if I ever buy a new car, yeah, I'm sure I'd like a screen, you know, in case, like, I don't know, one day you have to wait or something for an appointment and you're in your car and you want to put something on the screen. But I'd definitely rather have like the stuff for like the climatization, the heat, stuff like that be the normal way. Same thing with like the beyond the wheel, you know, like the turning light and the actual light and everything. Like, I don't know. It really feels like a car is something that there should be like a standard that's kind of forced by government, you know? Because, you know, it's insanely dangerous, you know? You might kill people. So make it that everybody understands the same way car work, and that's it. Anyway, that's my take. Great video, but also like, yeah. It's kind of infuriating how stupid so much of this feels.